All right, this is the Infowars crew review. Dinesh D'Souza, America. It has opened here tonight in the city of Austin, Texas. I have the Infowars crew here, David Knight, Kit Daniels, Joe Biggs, and Travis Nice, one of our great video editors. So we're here. We checked out the movie. It's, as you may expect, a very pro-American film. He talks about Dinesh in the film. He talks about various aspects of American history, Native Americans, African Americans, various aspects of conquest, and things like that. By and large, I think the film it's interesting. One of the things that stuck out to me, he wants to put a very happy face on America, and I think it's a fair thing to do, to show other sides to stories that you may not be aware of. But the thing that really stuck out to me is when he got to Iraq, and he was talking about the reason why we went into Iraq, and I'm like, what about the million dead plus Iraqis and the war crimes and a few other aspects? I'll let the other guys talk about things that stuck out to them and just whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to say that we didn't make money off of Iraq, so therefore it's not a problem. I mean, he fails to grasp what's going on in the military-industrial complex. The first, I guess, half hour of the movie, he's laying out criticisms about America's past, and then he defends it on issues like slavery. I would have liked to have seen him not defend it in a way of saying, well, essentially it boiled down to a lot of people did it. We had indentured servants from Europe. We have had a history of conquest with every nation, and so therefore America is not any worse than anybody else. I don't think we need to go there. I think where it hit its high point was when he had the attitude that we saw with who's the guy from
Obama.
Yeah, thank you. When he says that it's an idea, America is an idea. We had a great idea when we went to Bilderberg in Copenhagen. People there were talking about the U.S. Constitution. I said, yeah, but essentially if you look at it, it doesn't in effect exist anymore. They said, yes, but you have that idea. You have that plan, that foundation, that intellectual foundation. I think we need to understand that just as this movie is not perfect and it's not flawed, I think Dinesh D'Souza's got the right idea. And I don't think he has to be perfect on everything. He has some really strong points, I think, especially when he went into Saul Alinsky. But America is essentially an idea, and they got it right. And we need to stand on that foundation, even though they weren't perfect men. And that was a key part of their understanding, that because men are not perfect, we need to have a system of laws, of checks, of balances, and it needs to be focused on liberty. And so I would have liked to have seen it a little bit more, not so defensive of America's past, looking at what happened to the Indians and looking at that as a good example of what goes wrong with socialism, with bureaucracy, with the kind of reservation system that they've got there. They're now imposing on the rest of us. I would have taken that direction. So I would have done it differently, but it was still a very good film. I think we need to support Dinesh D'Souza and what he's doing. Clearly, he's having an effect on Obama and these people who want to put him in jail.
What I like about the movie is the fact that it points out that America was built on individual drive. Like we see in antiquity and throughout the Middle Ages, there's not a huge advancement in technology. But once America is founded, boom, there's a big explosion in technology. And that's all because of individual drive. That individuals are given the liberty to do what they feel is best and to engage in their own talents and advance society. That's what America is built upon, but now we see that America is, I think Dinesh D'Souza put it really well, that right now we have to restore America because we're losing that kind of value where, as Barack Obama said, if you built a business, someone else made that happen. But that's not what America was founded on. It's the fact that individuals paved their own path, and as Adam Smith so eloquently put it, it led to an invisible hand, which also benefited all of society.
I think, can I say something too? I think the thing that he had there about C.J. Walker, the black female entrepreneur, that story, that was a great story. That was really well done. And that was a great counterpoint to the narrative that's coming from Barack Obama, that you didn't build that he has Elizabeth Warren talking about that. That's what I wish he had done more of in the film. But it was an excellent film. I would highly recommend it. Yeah.
Well, you can't see America, and you can't blame America. You can't just label it as a collectivism, as a collective. We got to see America as individuals. And granted, there are bad individuals, but there's also good individuals, and that's what the good individuals are what created America in the first place.
And when I saw that story, it was very similar to what my grandfather had done with a business, a very similar business to what my grandfather did. And as I'm watching that, I told my wife she wouldn't have been able to build that business in today's regulatory climate. And so far from you didn't build that, it would be a you can't build that today in America, and that's what really needs to change. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Joe.
No, one of the things I found interesting was the whole how our government plays this shame card on us, and how they make us feel guilty about a lot of these things that kind of just create this turmoil amongst people and make us feel like eventually we need more government. We need to feel like we need that big brother to watch over us, to help us out, because we're not able to deal with a lot of these situations ourselves. So the government creates this turmoil. They make us feel bad, like we've done all these wrong things throughout history, and we need them to help solve our problems. And that's just one thing that, we definitely need to work on as a country. We got to, own up to what we've done, but definitely, don't let the government make us feel shameful for it. Just do the right thing from here on out and step forward.
Yeah, if I could add something, they're trying to shame us in order to put us in this mindset of collectivism, that we're the mortal mentality. We all share responsibility for crimes that people living 200-300 years ago did.
That's a Saul Alinsky tactic.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was really good about the movie, was his expose of Saul Alinsky.
It's basically trying to,
Hillary Clinton.
it's taking us away from individualism, because it's shaming us into feeling responsibility for actions that someone else did.
Yeah, I like the part he was interviewing, I can't remember the guy's name, he's the long-haired guy, and he said, if you could, would you drop a bomb on America? And he just sat there and, he thought about it, and he was like, I think I would. And my deal is, like you said, collectivism, we're all collectively guilty, instead of holding the feet to fire of, whoever did the offenses, whoever gave the orders, who carried out the action. It's like, no, we're all guilty as a country.
Yeah. You want to add anything? Brett?
Not especially. In terms of politics, yeah, he takes a little bit too much of a rose-colored view of America. He also tries to defend the Vietnam War, which I'm not really sure you can. But I think overall it's a good film, and it's beautifully shot.
Oh yeah, I mean the photography is excellent. It's definitely stellar. I can sit up here and critique the film, and if I made a film, he could critique what I did. So it's not a perfect film, but I think by and large it has some interesting ideals, especially for people who are on that kind of Zelensky style.
The slavery thing was weird there too, because he said since everyone else did it, and it's all kind of justifies the fact that we, just like, hey,
that kind of got me. I was like, I'm not exactly sure where
But
that
the thing is, if you go to see it, you're supporting independent films. You're supporting somebody who is taking on the administration in a way that they're really concerned about it.
It's like
and
Infowars.
it gives you a way. It gives you something to talk about. You can talk about some real stuff as opposed to why was that guy riding the dinosaur? I mean, that was Transformers. Instead of trying to figure out what Transformers is about, try to figure out what our country's about. You can have that discussion.
And it pays you into a direction towards liberty and towards individualism, which is exactly the opposite of what the establishment wants you to do.
Right. So I'd say we give it thumbs up.
It wasn't like it was 1984 to 1776.
Yeah, that's right.
So, by and large, I think it's worth seeing. You're not going to agree with everything, but it's still an interesting film. Like they said, you're supporting the alternative media. This is Charlie Jackson with the rest of the Infowars crew. More reports at Infowars.com.